Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Thank you so much for being here. Now I know I'm not new to booktube. I've been uploading constantly content here on the channel for the past 6 months. But recently the channel surpassed 500 subscribers, which I am very grateful for. Thank you to everyone that subscribed. And it was kind of my personal goal or challenge to do this newbie tag once I reached 500 subscribers. So this is what we are doing today. But first, let me actually properly introduce myself because I don't think I ever did that in the previous videos. So my name is Alex. I am 27. I am living in Romania and English is not my first language, as you can probably already tell from my accent and from how much I'm rambling sometimes. So with that being said, let's actually start with the questions for the newbie book tag. Why did you start the channel? I actually have two answers for this. So the first one would obviously be I love reading, I love books, and I want to share the joy of reading with like-minded individuals. But also the second reason why I started this YouTube channel is because I wanted to document my reading journey. And some people write reviews on Goodreads to actually capture what they thought about the book at that specific time when they read it and when they finished it. And kind of in the same way, this is a way for me to actually go back and see what I thought about a specific book at the time when I read it. I've been documenting my day-to-day life on Instagram for the past, 13 years. I think Instagram was released in 2012. And it's always such a nostalgic feeling to go back on your feed and just see what you went through at that time, what were you doing, who were your friends. And with my editing process when it comes to photos, I can already tell what I was going through, like emotionally, mentally at that time, through the colors or the color palette that I would use to edit my photos with at that time. What are some unique things you bring to booktube? God, this question is, well, uh, what am I bringing unique to YouTube? Did I ever have an original thought in my life? Literature and books in general are so subjective that if we would all read the same book, the same text, we would all have different thoughts and opinions and feelings about what we have read because we are always basing our review, our thoughts about that specific book on our previous life experience, on what we like to read, so on and so forth. So, what am I bringing into BookTube is my opinions on what I read, my personal thoughts. But also, if we are all having unique thoughts and are all subjective about the things that we read, are we really all that unique or are we the same? A thing to think about. Why do you love reading? I feel like I'm giving such a basic answer to this, but obviously, I love reading because when I read, I feel disconnected from everything else that's happening in my life. And I love this feeling of escapism to be able to transport myself in a different world, if it's a fantasy novel, or in a different time if it is a literary fiction or a historical fiction. And I just love that feeling of being able to experience life through the lens of different characters and different authors. I think there's like a very famous quote, I forgot exactly who said it, but basically you live as many lives as many books you have read, or something along those lines. And that's why I love reading. The concept of reading is so interesting to me because when you think about the process of reading, you're just staring at words printed on a page or on a screen for God knows how many hours on a day. And when you think about the process, is nothing that exciting because you're just like staring at something. But when you actually read and when you actually enjoy the book and get immersed into the world of that book, you are not thinking about the words on a page. You're just playing a movie in your head with your own imagery and how you envision those characters and those settings. Also, I feel like for me personally, reading is just like a skill. The more you practice it, or practice it because you can't obviously practice reading because you already know how to read. But the more you read, the more you develop your critical thinking and also the speed with which you are reading. So at the end of the day, you're just learning what you like, what writing style you like, what plot devices you like. When I was starting going back into reading as an adult, I always heard people say, like, oh, the writing style was bad, or oh, I didn't enjoy the writing style, or I didn't like this trope, or this plot was predictable, or stuff like that. And I would always get so confused. Like, how do you know if a book is badly written or not, or you didn't like it because it was predictable? Because I would always be, oh, I didn't actually see that plot twist coming, or whatever the case was in that specific scenario. But the more you read, the more you realize that a lot of plots and a lot of concepts are pretty much the same. And once you read one, once you read two, once you read three, when you're reading the fourth one, you kind of know what to expect. And by that time, you also know what you like. You also know when something is very cliche and very overdone. So just as developing a skill, reading is also, I don't know if skill is the correct word to describe it, but it's also an act that you can improve upon the more you practice it. What book or series got you into reading? Okay, so again, a very basic answer. I actually have two series that I was thinking about when I was preparing the questions for this video. So I feel like a lot of people that are my age or around my age will have a similar answer to this. But the first book that got me into reading, or the first series, I should say, is this one, which I will not insist too much with just because the author said and did some truly despicable and heinous things, and I'm obviously not supporting that. But when I think about this series and these books and the cultural phenomenon that Harry Potter was at that time when I was a kid, I was just like excited about fantasy in general. I can't deny the fact that this series is providing me with a lot of nostalgia, and I have very vivid memories of me actually reading this series. This is my original copy from when I was a kid. This is the Romanian version that came out in 2007, I think. Yeah, 2007. And I just loved this series so much. I remember the later books were so massive and so expensive, so I never was able to buy those. I just had the first one, and then I borrowed the rest of them from the library in my school. And then the second series that I don't know if it was actually that popular, I was just like a super massive fan of it, is the Spider-Week Chronicles by, almost said Cassandra Clare, What's Happening, by Holly Black and Tony DiTerlizzi. This is again the Romanian translated edition. It also was published in 2007 in Romanian. As you can tell already, 2007 was a big year for me in terms of reading. I was completely and utterly obsessed with this series. There are 5 books and I have them here on my shelf. I have to rearrange actually because this is supposed to be the Dark Academia shelf, but these books are not, so I have to figure that out later. Right when the first chapter starts, we have this illustration of the manor or the house that this family is moving into. And the reason why I am so obsessed with this first book is because right next to the place where I lived as a kid, we used to have a park. I mean, it's still a park. It just looks better now. But in the middle of this park, there was a castle or like an old manor of like a historical figure in our town. And in my mind, that castle looked exactly like this manor in the book. We actually believed it was haunted. And by we, I mean me and 2 of my best friends at that time. So the nostalgia with this series is on the next level because I remember vividly where I was when I read those books, what I thought about them. And I tried to sketch this manner like so many times. It's actually embarrassing, but yeah, the Spiderweek Chronicles. What question would you ask your favorite booktubers? So the first question would be, how do you edit your videos? I'm always very curious of the editing workflow of different people. So that would be my first one. And another question would be, how do you come up with original ideas that still feel like you, but they're also fresh and new and exciting? And how do you know that those will perform well? Because at this specific time with my channel, as I said, I've been uploading constantly for the last 6 months, and there's one specific video that blew up with the short books recommendations. I think it has 6K views or something like that. And I'm trying to figure out what does that video have that the rest don't have. I think part of it is because of the length, because it's on the shorter side. And me personally, I love longer videos. Like, give me a 40 minutes video, give me an hour video. That's the type of content that I enjoy consuming and watching. So I will have to figure out a way to be happy with the content that I'm putting out, but also think about what people are watching and what people want to actually watch. I think I'm going on a tangent. What was the question again? Yeah, would be two of the questions that I would ask another booktuber or my favorite booktuber if I could. The next question is, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I'm cheating a little bit with this one just because I had this channel for some time now, but when I first started, I was really not worried, but a bit, I had second thoughts of, is this sustainable? Like, can I put out a video a week? And when you think about it, a video a week doesn't sound like much, but when you put it into context and when you think about the fact that I also have a full-time job, and on top of that, I'm reading so that I have a base for my content, and then I'm also filming videos, I'm editing videos, I'm doing other things as well in my personal life. So I didn't know, and I wasn't sure on if it will be sustainable and will I be able to maintain that. Yeah, this would be one of the questions, or not questions, but thoughts that I had before actually posting the first video on this channel. When did you start reading? I think I actually really started reading either in the second or third grade. I remember vividly that we used to have this literature class, and in the literature class, all we would do, or the majority of the time in that class, we would do this exercise of reading each of us like a sentence out loud. I don't know what it's called, or if it's actually done in some other places, or only in my town, or only in my country. I don't know. But you would have a text. The first person would read the first sentence out loud, and then it went on and on and on until you finished reading the text. And I remember that I was so anxious as a kid. I mean, I still am anxious as an adult, but at that time, you feel like everything is falling apart and all eyes are on you. And once you start growing up, you realize that, oh, no one really cares that much. Like, it's fine. Everyone is just preoccupied with their own self. At that time, when I was in school, I was mortified and petrified when I had to read something out loud, just because I was thinking in my head that, oh, the other kids will make fun of me. And now that I'm thinking about it, no one cared. It was not that serious, but I started reading more at that time in my life because I actually wanted to better myself and to have this exercise of being confident on reading out loud. So I started reading books out loud in my free time to, develop that skill. And this is where we are now. So I guess trauma is good for something. I'm kidding. Where do you read? I feel like the most common answer to this question is in bed. I honestly can't read that much in bed just because if I'm in the bed reading, no matter how much I enjoy the book, no matter how excited I am to read it, I will fall asleep in like 5 to 10 minutes. And because of that, most of the times I read in this chair at my desk so that I'm like awake while reading the book. But also, I enjoy reading at the table in my kitchen again on a chair, like I'm making sure I'm not falling asleep. And then when I'm not at home, I read quite a lot while commuting to and from places. Like, for example, when I go to work, on my commute there, I don't scroll my phone, or I try not to scroll on my phone as much as possible. And I'm actually reading in that time because if you're commuting even for like 20, 30 minutes a day, you will have 20, 30 minutes of reading while also going places. And then in terms of when I'm reading, I actually like reading in the morning. I feel like in the morning I'm at my full capacity. I can fully concentrate because after a day of work or like a day of editing or doing other things, I just like can't concentrate fully on the books that I'm reading. So yeah, I prefer to read in the morning. And then last but not least, the final question. What kind of books do you like to read? If you watched my previous videos, you probably already know the answer to this question, but I love reading fantasy. I feel like fantasy had such a strong hold on me as a kid, and therefore I still enjoy it as an adult. It's true that in the last couple of years, I got more and more into literary fiction and historical fiction, and I'm constantly trying to read more of those genres just so that I can balance a bit my fantasy reads because I can't keep reading like fantasy back to back. It just gets a bit tiring after a while. And then something that I want to get into more this year would be to start reading more nonfiction. We made it. This is the end of today's video. This entire video was filmed on a new camera, so I'm still trying to learn how to operate it and how to color grade and color correct in post and stuff like that. So please let me know in the comments down below, how do you think it looks? Is it better or worse than the previous videos on this channel? And with that, I will see you hopefully pretty soon in a new video. Bye everyone!